All right, you want to move on to the next thing? DeSantis moves to ban transition care for transgender youth, Medicaid recipients. The Florida governor's administration asked a state medical board to ban the therapies for minors while seeking to block Medicaid payments for all transition-related care. Ugh. So this was a few days before the executive order. Like 2 weeks almost. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' administration Thursday asked the state board regulating doctors to essentially ban transition-related care for transgender minors, according to a letter obtained by NBC News. The state health department made the request hours after another state agency issued a 46-page report to justify banning Medicaid coverage for transgender people of any age who want puberty blockers, hormone therapies, or gender reassignment surgery. The two-pronged effort, which ensures DeSantis can act quickly and without the need for legislative approval, drew instant opposition from activists and medical professionals. They have increasingly clashed with DeSantis, a Republican, as he seeks re-election and wants to build a national brand as a culture warrior and potential 2024 White House contender. Leading the charge for DeSantis, Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, who oversees the health department. Ladapo? In April, Ladapo issued guidance recommending against transgender treatments for minors who feel their bodies and their gender identities are misaligned. It contradicted guidance issued by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services under President Joe Biden, and transgender rights activists and 300 state healthcare professionals accused Florida of cherry-picking evidence and performing incomplete research. In a partial answer to the criticisms, Florida's Agency for the Healthcare Administration issued its report Thursday questioning the science and safety of hormone therapies, puberty blockers, and gender reassignment surgery. Ladapo then asked the Florida Board of Medicine to establish a standard of care Thursday that could ultimately result in prohibiting doctors from prescribing therapies for transgender youths. The process could take months, and it's unclear how many people it could affect. While some professional organizations, such as the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Endocrine Society, recommend these treatments for gender-affirming care, the scientific evidence supporting these complex medical interventions is extraordinarily weak, Ladapo wrote in his letter. The current standards set by numerous professionals or organizations appear to follow a preferred political ideology instead of the highest level of generally accepted medical science, he wrote. Florida must do more to protect children from politics-based medicine. But a host of other healthcare professionals and their organizations and activists have accused Ladapo and DeSantis of endangering the well-being of children who are at increased risk of suicide already. It's unconstitutional for the government to step in and deprive youth, and especially trans youth, of getting the necessary medical care they need, said Gary Howell, a psychologist in Tampa who has transgender youth and adult patients. Transgender youth and adult patients. Yeah, I think I said that right. This interferes with the rights of parents, Howell said, drawing attention to DeSantis' crusade for parental rights when it comes to teaching kids about race, gender identity, and sexual orientation in the classroom. Howell said doctors aren't just prescribing puberty blockers or hormones without adequate safeguards or without the informed consent of caring and involved parents. He said that operations for children, mainly mastectomies for transgender boys, are exceedingly rare and that they only occur after multiple evaluations. That's true. You have to go through an incredible amount of hoops in order to get any kind of approval for surgery and stuff like that. DeSantis' administration notes that Sweden and Finland, which were among the first countries to engage in prescribing a broad range of transition-related care for transgender children, have severely curtailed their use now. But his administration has gone a step further, experts say, by also seeking to ban what's called social gender transition therapy, prohibiting therapists from encouraging children to change their pronouns, hair, and dress in accordance with their gender identities. Now, isn't that sad? Why would you ban that? Right? What is that going to do? Except just make people miserable. Republican-led states... Oh! Hey! Thanks, Tori, for the reset. Appreciate the support. Damn. Republican-led states have focused on transgender-related issues since Biden took office in 2021 and recommitted the federal government to expanding and protecting rights for transgender people. Biden appointed the first transgender assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services for Health, Dr. Rachel Levine. Oh, we talked about Dr. Rachel Levine a lot, actually. Whose office released a fact sheet promoting gender-affirming care, which Ladapo's office criticized. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Tori. Republican candidates throughout the country have also unleashed a wave of transgender-related political ads this year. Oh, that... maybe. Okay, maybe. Florida was one of the first states to ban transgender women and girls from participating in women's sports, but states such as Alabama and Arkansas have led the way in limiting hormone and puberty-blocking therapies for kids. That's so sad. Florida seized the national spotlight during the legislature's winter lawmaking session when DeSantis signed legislation to inhibit classroom discussions of sexual orientation and gender identity. When Disney sided with LGBTQ activists and vowed to fight what it called the Don't Say Gay legislation, DeSantis accused the company of a woke misrepresentation of the law and successfully pushed for additional legislation that could undo a special taxing district for Disney World in the Orlando area. Whoa! Politics is fucked! Man, do you see that? Do you see that? Oh my god. Successfully pushed for additional legislation that could undo a special taxing district for Disney World in the Orlando area. Wow. That's fucked. I mean, fuck Disney, first of all. But like, if they're gonna lose their special taxing or whatever, make it be for a good cause, not to pressure them to agree with you politically on this other issue. Disney owns like an entire huge area that's its own city. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. They paid for their own infrastructure costs. Oh, okay, well, I mean, if you're gonna have your own fucking city as a company, right? You would expect... Oh, God. That's not good. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, politics is so fucked. I hate this shit. This is so fucked. This is the kind of person that shouldn't have power. Yeah, all because DeSantis wanted to act tough. Yeah. Yeah. This is the kind of person that shouldn't have power. You know what I mean? Asked in April whether he would sign a ban on transition-related care for transgender children, DeSantis said he would. There's a concerted effort in society to push these kids into some type of medical intervention, he told conservative podcaster Lisa Booth. But DeSantis wasn't waiting on the legislature. By the time of his interview, DeSantis Surgeon General had already issued his guidance, and the Agency for Healthcare Administration was already combing over studies and research for the report it issued Thursday. By having Ladapo, not Lapato, Ladapo, asked the Florida Board of Medicine to take executive action, DeSantis' administration essentially bypasses the legislature and speeds the process of enacting a ban on transition-related care. The Florida Board of Medicine has a 12-member board of physicians who are technically independent of the state, but are also appointed by the governor and confirmed by the state senate. Most professional medical associations oppose or have guidance in opposition to the DeSantis administration's posture on transgender-related care, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. That's a lot. That's a lot of organizations there. Yeah. He basically bypassed the state Congress to pass this ban. Yeah, well, disgusting. That's literal fascism. Anyway. It's not the first time DeSantis and Ladapo have faced off against the experts when it comes to children and medical therapy. In March, Ladapo recommended against COVID vaccines for children, citing a host of studies, but some of the researchers told the Tampa Bay Times that he misrepresented their work and cherry-picked data, similar to an accusation other physicians and healthcare experts leveled a month later over the health department's guidance concerning transgender youth. Yeah, so the COVID thing is interesting because it's like, I don't know. After everything was said and done, like, was it really worth the short-term benefit that you were going to get from peddling this anti-vaccine shit? I mean, like, you have basically, like, ruined all credibility now at this point, right? Any of those healthcare people that were, like, anti-vaccine, at this point, with everything that we know now, right? Like, COVID was handled very poorly here. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Surprisingly, Kentucky had a really, really good leader during COVID times. In oh god, what was the governor's name? It's Ben something. We're a tourist state and no one wanted to visit, so it made a lot of people lose jobs. Well, yeah, figures. But yeah, the Kentucky governor was surprisingly good on COVID. And the Kentucky governor was better on COVID than the governor here in Colorado, which was very surprising. But here we are, so. A major difference between the DeSantis administration and experts whether the pharmaceutical treatments are reversible. The latter says they are, and the former says they're not, and that the evidence isn't there. While clinical organizations like the AAP endorse the above treatments, none of these organizations rely on high-quality evidence, the AHCA Medicaid report says, swiping at the experts. Their eminence in the medical community alone does not validate their views in the absence of quality supporting evidence. In the quality supporting evidence, not like low quality, right? To the contrary, the evidence shows that the above treatments pose irreversible consequences, exacerbate or fail to alleviate existing medical health conditions, and cause infertility or sterility. Yeah. Well, I mean, the sterility can be reversed with trans femmes, right? As far as I know, if you stop taking the estrogen, your testiculars will continue to produce the things, right? But you can't reverse this, right? The chest growth, you can't reverse that, right? Once you get that, that's like, I mean, you can get them removed, but you can't reverse it, right? DeSantis is very much a culture war governor. He has done basically nothing to improve anything here. He's just made a lot of noise with COVID and anti-trans rhetoric. Yeah, go figure. That's what they all do. They don't do anything to support it. DeSantis is only doing it because he thinks it's good for his re-election. That's it. He probably doesn't even care, personally. A lot of these politicians don't even care personally. They just find the issue that they can use to win re-election and go for it. They lean hard into it. You know? I don't even know what his views are personally. And honestly, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But it's just what he does publicly that matters. It's what he does in his capacity as governor that matters. But those critical of DeSantis' moves say the state fails to appreciate that transgender kids are struggling and that denying them puberty blockers and hormones is dangerous to their psychological well-being. I was a teenager. I wanted to transition. I didn't have access to that care, and it almost killed me, said Ashley Brundage, a transgender activist who is the founder and president of Empowering Differences and sits on the National Board of Directors of GLAAD, formerly the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. Brundage pointed out that she is supposed to receive a Spirit of the Community Award from the Florida Commission on the Status of Women, which is under the governor's office. How about that for irony? Brundage asked with a laugh. Are they going to revoke my award? Well, you know what? I wouldn't be too surprised. I wouldn't be too surprised. Because all it takes for conservatives to just like swarm on something is for a trans person to win at anything.